Hi friends, in today's video I'm going to show you how to start from the very beginning to create your first piece of crochet. This is a UK double crochet stitch or a US single crochet stitch. I shall show you how to start from the very beginning with your slip knot, how to create your chain, your foundation chain to work from, and then how to create this stitch to create your first piece of work. Click like and comment with how you get on. I would love to know. So let's get started. So as an absolute beginner, the first thing you're going to need to know is how to make a slip knot. So you have your yarn, you have your tail end, the end that is the snipped end is the tail end. You're going to place it over your two fingers, wrap it round and cross it over. Take the loop off your fingers and you can take your hook, put it through the loop, get the yarn that's hanging down, pull it through, and then you tighten it onto your hook. Now this is obviously quite a loose loop, but if you find you pull the edge, it tightens onto your hook. And that is a slip knot. Just do that one more time for you. Got the tail end, wrap it round your fingers, pull the loop off so it's still crossed over, push your hook through, pull that through the loop you've created, so now you can see it's a knot. Tighten the knot, not too tight, and then pull your end so it is around your hook, and there you have a slip knot, which is basically the first thing you need to make pretty much any crochet pattern. I'll do it one more time a bit faster. Round your loop, pop it through, pull it tight. Now once you have it on your hook, you want it so it easily glides up and down. It's nice and snug, it's not so loose it's flopping about on its own, and it's not so tight that I can't move it, it just glides nicely, and that is exactly the right tension you are going to need. Next I'm going to show you how to hold your yarn. You've got your slip knot on your hook. My tail end is just draped over these fingers. I hold my hook in the pencil position. I know that a lot of people also hold their hook in the knife position. You have to decide what's most comfortable for you. I've been doing this for 20 years and this is how I hold my hook. It just comes naturally to me that way. I can crochet this way, but I just do it a lot slower. So experiment with holding your hook like this and holding your hook like this, and you will feel quite quickly which is more comfortable for you. Next, we're going to hold the working yarn. You've got your tail end tucked away there. We're going to hold our working yarn to create the correct tension. Now the tension is the thing that helps to keep your stitches neat. If you were to just very loosely stitch away, you'd find some of your stitches would be tight, some of your stitches would be loose. So holding it like this helps to keep your stitches even. The way I do it is I take my middle finger, I wrap the yarn around my middle finger, and I put my index finger underneath. So as the yarn is coming through, it's got to loop round twice, and that just keeps it nice and taut as I crochet. If I just crochet a little bit quickly for you, you can see the tension that I'm talking about. So it's going through my fingers at an even tension, and that's how I create stitches that are all the same size. Again, this is something you can experiment with to find your most comfortable hold, but for me it's to wrap it round the middle finger and place my index finger underneath. You can grip it a bit tighter with these ones if you need to. If you're doing a tricky stitch, you want to hold on to it, you can do that. Otherwise, I just let it glide through my fingers like this. So now you have your yarn on your hook. We are going to take our tail end and hold it between our thumb and ring finger. We are going to take our hook. You have the yarn going behind the hook, around the hook, and this is called a yarn over. So your hook goes over the yarn, around the yarn, you have a yarn over, holding on to the slip knot just to give you some guidance, pull the yarn through the loop on the hook, and that is your very first chain. So let me do that again. You're going over the yarn, under the yarn, yarn over. So the yarn is going over the hook, that's why it's called a yarn over. Pull it through. Yarn over, pull through. And as you can see, as I'm going along, my fingers that were gripping the slip knot, are now moving up the chain, and it just gives it a bit of stability as you're going along. So you yarn over the hook, through, and there you have your very first few chains. Now if you look at this closely, let me get my pointy stick to show you. You have here a V, V, a V. Each one of these V's is the top of a stitch. So when you do a stitch, you go through both of those, and that would be classed as a stitch. So I'm going to make a few more. You yarn over, pull through. Now when you first start doing these, you will find that sometimes you have some really loose ones, and sometimes you have some really tight ones, and it will start to look really sort of uneven. It's simple to just undo that. You just take your hook out, pop the stitches out, this is called frogging, and then put your hook back into where you wanted to start again and keep going. Very quickly this will become muscle memory. Just keep doing it over and over. You end up with a chain a mile long, and I'm sure it won't take you long to master. All you just have to do is wrap the yarn over the hook, yarn over, pull it through the loop that is on the hook to create your V. So I now have a chain of 20. I've made it a loose chain to help show you. We are now, when you get a pattern, say for example it asks for chain 20 before you go back to do your second row, you can count your V's to help you get to your 20, and then you have your yarn on your hook. This is your working loop, so the loop doesn't count. Don't count the loop. this would be your last chain. So if you want to work in a chain of 20, the pattern will probably say chain 1 or chain 2. This is because we need to add an extra chain in order to turn and go back the other way. If we didn't add the extra chain and we turned our work and went back the other way, we would be ending up with 19 stitches as we go back. So this extra chain we do helps us to keep the correct count as we go back, and it also helps to keep the edges neat as you go up. So I shall do the extra chain. I now have 21 chains, and we're going to turn our work to the side and we work in this direction like this. So we have the extra chain I've just created, so essentially that's chain 21, and we're going to go back into chain 20. Now with your V, we're going into just the top loop only of your V. You slip your hook through there so you have your extra working loop and the top of the V on your hook. You yarn over and you pull the yarn through just the top of the V on stitch number 20, or stitch number 1 as you're going back this way. You're then going to yarn over and pull that through both, and that is your very first UK terms double crochet, US terms single crochet. So I shall do that again. You now have your working loop on your hook. You're going to put your hook through the top of the V, yarn over the hook like so, pull it through so you have 2 loops, yarn over again, pull it through both 2. And as you can see, we're starting to create our second row. You have your working loop on your hook, push your hook through the top stitch of the V, yarn over, pull it through so you have your 2 loops, yarn over, pull it through both. This is your first row, and this is the extra chain stitch here that just helps you to turn and go back that way. Through the very top stitch, yarn over, back, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both. Next stitch, yarn over, pull it through, you can see now that the V is on the top of our work. This is much easier to work into the second row. Your chain row is actually quite fiddly to work into. I have done mine loose so I can show you easily. But coming back on row 3 is much easier, and you will be going through both to create your next row. I'm just going to go along a few more times to show you. through your top stitch, yarn over, pull it through, 2, yarn over, pull it through both. So I'm going to go all the way to the other end, and then I shall show you turning and coming back for row 3. So once you've made it to the end of your first row, I'll show you this last stitch just to show you. You see you have your slip knot here and your very first chain stitch. So you go into there, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through those. Now what we're going to do is chain an extra 1, and you can see it's sort of hanging off the end of your work, this extra chain. You're going to turn your work counterclockwise, always turn it away from you to the other side. You have the chain you've just created, this extra chain. You're not going to work into that, you're going to work into the first stitch of your actual piece of work. Go through there, yarn over, pull through, 2 chains on the hook, yarn over, pull through. Because we have now actually created a proper row and we're not working into the chain anymore, the V stitch is much easier to work through. You can actually easily see the gap there, the V on top. You're going through both of those, pulling through, catching your yarn, pulling it through both, going through your V, pulling it through, yarning over, pulling through both. Your V, going through under both. And that is how you get a neat corner with your chain 1, turn away from you counterclockwise and start going back the other way. Pop it through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through your V, 2 loops, pull it through. I'll get to the other end and I shall show you turning once more. So I've made it to the end of my row. I have one last stitch, so I go through my last stitch, stitch number 20, pull through, and then we have a full row. So I'm going to chain an extra 1, turn my work away from me counterclockwise, you have the chain you've just created, your extra chain, don't work into that, work in which is your very first stitch, through both, under the V, pull it through both, under the V, through both. And as you can see, you actually have quite a neat little corner there already. If you continue that up, that just stays nice and straight. And once you block it, they're really neat and tidy. I find always turn away from you counterclockwise, and then every single corner will be exactly the same. Consistency actually helps a lot in crochet. It helps to keep things really neat and tidy. And as I said before, I'm going to purposely do a stitch wrong now. I've gone wrong with that one. There's a funny extra long one. This is actually a triple crochet. If you want to go back and undo your work, you simply take your hook out and gently pull until you get back to where you want to start again. Pop your hook back in the loop and start again. Hopefully you notice your mistakes fairly soon after you've made them. I have made a few projects where I've realised I've made a mistake 10 rows back and I've had to undo or frog a lot of work, and that can be very annoying. But it's all part of the course. We all do it. Even after 20 years of crocheting, I still have to frog my work sometimes. So as you can see, I'm just going along. I've speeded up a little bit. So you're going through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through two. You can see, as the work builds, you can very easily see where you need to put your hook in each space. Under the V, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through. I'll get to the end again and show you turning one last time. So I've done my 20 stitches along, got to the end, chain 1, turn your work away from you. You have your extra chain and your second chain from the hook. You're going into there, creating your first stitch on the next row. Again, you can see that's created another neat corner. I'm going to do a few more rows and I shall show you how it looks. So I've finished a few rows. It does want to curl a little bit, but that's okay. It's still quite short. When it gets longer, you can block it and that stops the curling. As you can see, the edge is very straight and it is consistent. You can see where I've turned each time, turning away, keeping it neat and tidy on the ends there. You get a decent sharp corner because of your chain, your extra chain. So this is how the stitch looks. It's really lovely. It's the ideal first one to learn. I would recommend making a nice long piece. Just keep going with it, and then the next stitch, so this stitch is single crochet US terms, double crochet UK terms. The next stitch I would learn would be a half treble UK and a half double US. That's quite a tongue twister, a little brain burp there. So that's what I shall show you in the next video. I shall do the next few stitches in the next video. Do practice this, give it a go. It will become muscle memory, as I said before. I think an evening of doing this stitch and you should have it down. So good luck, guys. Please do give me a like or a comment. I'd love to know how it's going, and obviously subscribe for my other videos. All of this interaction will help me grow my channel, which I would be very grateful for.